Catholics will know that tomorrow is the feast of the birthday of the Blessed Virgin, but it's also, perhaps more widely known in the United Kingdom, the first anniversary of the death of Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in our history. And naturally, last year, what everyone wanted to talk about was essentially a hagiography of the late Queen. Her virtues were discussed and talked about, and it was almost viewed as inevitable that her reign would have been a success. When you look back over the period from 1952 to 2022, it wasn't always plain sailing. There were two marvellous periods. The Queen, as a young, beautiful woman, when she came to the throne, was adored not just by her people, by people across the world. And then, as a dutiful, frail, elderly lady, we were inspired by her commitment to her people and her continuing to fulfil her role into vast old age, when other people had long since retired. But there were periods of tumult, that the 1970s weren't a great decade for the monarchy, and the 1990s were even harder. That was when the Queen had the annus horribilis, and when, of course, Diana, Princess of Wales, died. And at that point, people did question the constitutional monarchy. But the thing to remember is that this is what you would expect. If you look at the reign of Queen Victoria, she had 7 assassination attempts, and her reign went in a similar pattern to the late Queen. Popular when she was first Queen, not lasting very long, not lasting as long as it did for Queen Elizabeth, very popular again at the end of her reign as the mother of the empire, but in between times, there were periods when she wasn't at all popular. Indeed, at one point, there was even a suggestion that Albert should be taken to the Tower for treason. So all reigns have periods when they aren't going as smoothly as the monarch would like. And to succeed, they need to go with the grain of the political nation. And this has been the amazing success of the British monarchy since George I became king, that they have understood the need, or they found by force majeure, that they have lost their power to become constitutional monarchs. But being a constitutional monarch is harder than you think. Why? Well, if you are a powerful ruling monarch, if you think of the Wars of the Roses, the idea then was to change a monarch for another monarch. Now, it's either a constitutional monarchy or it's a republic. There isn't another family, there isn't another dynasty that would take over. And that puts great pressure on the constitutional monarch and the family to maintain it, particularly when they've got residual constitutional powers. These are really interesting and important. And you have to wonder how different the political nation may have been in relation to the prorogation example, which I was involved with, had instead of it being a very elderly queen, had it been a younger king. Would people have expected him to have been involved more? Or when we had the coalition in 2010, the coalition was very interesting because the one aim of all the politicians was to protect the Queen, not to bring her into politics. Actually, Gordon Brown didn't have to stay in Downing Street for an extra week. He could have left, and he could have said it's up to the constitutional monarch to work out who the next Prime Minister should be, throwing the political problem firmly on the lap of the sovereign rather than dealing with it in the political field. So, the question for the future is, can the constitutional monarchy continue to work? And we've all seen how brilliantly the King has done in his first year, the steadiness, the dignity, the clear affection that he has for his people and his desire to make it work properly, and the humour that he's brought to it, not to mention the great support that he gets so obviously from Queen Camilla, from the current Queen. It's been a fantastic start, but will it be able to go through the squalls which will come? Will the path set by the late Queen continue? I very much hope so, because I think it's a fundamental part of the fabric of our society. I think it is what marks us out as a unique, as a great, as a noble nation. It is what unites the United Kingdom. The monarchy is at the heart of it. But it's harder to keep it going than perhaps the late Queen made it look.